by that logic,
What's up, guys?
why would people even pay 1,000 hexy for one hexy?
Because
Okay,
they didn't know they could have gotten it cheaper on Uniswap.
Hexy does not
Yeah,
pay
yeah, yeah.
dividends in Hex, right?
Also, real quick, if you guys were watching, the price was
I think
just
it's in Hexy.
if you're watching on Uniswap, it was just $6 like 3 days ago.
Yeah,
You know,
now
so-
it's like 1.3K hex per hexy.
Yeah.
So just to make something 100% clear, Hexy does not pay any dividends in Hex, right?
It does.
It does?
Hex
Okay.
or Hexy?
So
No, it's all due to transforms. You have to transform it in order
okay, so
to...
let me
No.
let me give you an example real quick. Okay, if I ask the question in Hex, where does the new Hex come from? I can tell you. I can say very quickly, well, let's assume that the transform lobby is gone. I can say very simply, I say that the Hex is minted out of thin air according to how long your stake was. Now, when I ask you that question regarding Hexy, I have still not gotten an answer. Why is that?
All right, I'll just give it
well,
a go.
and like even if there's no divs on with Hexy, like if there's divs, that's just a bonus. Just by freezing the Hexy token, it pays out 36.5% interest. Right there.
In what?
In what?
Hexy?
In Hexy.
So
Okay, so I just asked a minute ago.
Have any value? Same reason that I think Hex is going to have value, right?
Yeah, I mean it's liquid on Uniswap. You can get in and get out of it if you want.
Right, I get it. So you're hoping that demand is equal or increasing forever,
Yep.
Well,
and that's what we're doing with Hex too.
That's what we're doing with everything.
Yeah, that's with everything.
Yep.
Okay, so a second ago when I was trying to ask where do the Hex
I'm agreeing
dividends
with you
come
guys.
from, I can explain it really easily. I can explain where Hex payments come from on the original Hex protocol. But when I ask y'all where does the Hex come from, I've asked it probably 8 or 9 times, and I still don't have an answer.
So then with the dividends for your question, every day, every 24 hours, that's from the transforms. You can transform either your Hex, either Ethereum or
Okay.
USDC, and every
Okay.
day, and every
Hold up.
day, and every day, and
Hold up.
every
Hold
day it pays out 90% of that.
Okay, hold up. That requires a constant influx of Hex always coming into this transform lobby. Michael just told me that eventually this transform lobby ends. Once this transform lobby ends, where do the Hex dividends come from?
Well, from like the games in the ecosystem, and like I just said, you can freeze it and get 36.5% interest just by freezing.
No, that's HXY. I'm asking where the Hex dividends. I'm not asking for HXY dividends. I want to know where the Hex is coming from.
So once the Hex lobby ends, then
the transforms.
So people have to opt into transforming, but why would they opt into transforming if they can get a better deal on Uni?
Well, if you look 3 days ago, the price was just $6.80. So at that time, it was kind of the same. And it's like an incentive. If you're in the ecosystem, you're kind of incentivized to use a transform because it helps out everybody in the ecosystem.
Does anyone else understand that I've still not gotten an answer of where the Hex dividends come from?
There's only a limited place where you can get.
Here's your
Hex
answer.
dividends.
That Hex dividends come from the daily transforms.
No, bro, listen to me. I just asked the question, what happens when the transforms end? That's the third time I've said that.
Okay, let me respond. So there's going to be about 10 core dapps that are going to utilize Hex, Ethereum, and USDC. But I believe there's 3 of the dapps that are going to use a pooling function to either gain more interest, take advantage of bigger pays better, or some series games that utilize that function. And possibly some of the portion will go to the people who got in that pool, and maybe some will go to the dividends. And you need Hex to plug into the contract.
Okay, so from what I understand, after the transform is complete, all of the Hex dividends are going to come from these apps, from the profit that's generated by these apps. Is that correct?
It has not been built yet, right?
That has nothing built yet. That's okay. That's beside the point. Okay, now these apps, how are they generating Hex? What are they doing to generate Hex?
So let's say you have Hex and you want to generate like big bigger pays better type of yield. Maybe it's worth it. So you go into one of these
Hex
pools.
Hexpool.xyz or whatever.
And it's just one concept. There's other games that could utilize the bigger pays better concept. I don't know how, but
Okay.
yeah.
these guys
So
are
that
creative.
idea right there is actually a very good idea. I think that it's nice
Right.
to be
So-
able to pool your hacks together and get advantage of the BPB.
Okay, so work with me here. So there's different games that could pull these, and then part of the revenue from there can go to the dividend holders, and part of the revenue goes to people that were in the pool. But this is a yield chasing economy right now. You can see from Compound and these ones where people are farming and stuff. So this is a yield economy. So what if these pools actually pay better than anything you can do in a more simplified way, in a nice user interface way? So this is the vision that they're trying to get at, but it's kind of it's like a few steps ahead in my opinion.
So are you saying that if nobody is using these games or whatever it is, does that just mean that nobody gets dividends, or what happens?
They'll probably be lower or higher, just depending on the popularity.
Depends on how much people use the game. So the dividends that y'all are getting is totally dependent on the game. So you actually have an incentive to go out and shill the games to people so that they'll get used more.
Let's look at the cup half full. So the games should be good. They should be attractive. They should keep people's attention and be quality games.
You're right.
Right. And then I think the idea is that they're lossless. It's a casino, but you just have to maybe show that you own something to get a portion of something, and you're not actually losing
Okay.
money.
Well, Omar, you're the first person that's actually explained this in any way that was even remotely understandable. So I appreciate that. I'm glad that you said that, because that was actually understandable. I appreciate it.
So these guys are touching on a lot of visionary stuff. They just showed like a clip of you being able to look, the technology exists where you put your Hexy on a hardware wallet or something and you take it off your mobile. But everything is done and managed within a mobile. That could be like a killer app, in my opinion. And if you can onboard into USDC, this is like the vision that these guys are. I've seen it, you know. So these guys are innovating. Innovation is necessary.
Yeah,
If that kind of makes sense.
And even if you go in their Telegram and stuff and just see all their updates, like I've been watching them very close for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and it's like just constant kind of things, just kind of like different innovative kind of things coming out, different stuff, and I like the way how the team is working.
Yeah, that's nice to read a Telegram channel, but I'm trying to read white papers to explain what is actually going on, and they don't have any white papers.
No,
actually, if you go in Telegram and type the exclamation point LP, it brings up their light.
No,
papers.
I didn't ask for a light paper. I said white paper. I don't want a big picture.
No,
yeah, but even Hex doesn't have an official white paper.
No, Hex has a lot of documentation. Hex has at least 2 layman's guides.
Has code.
The entire Hexy ecosystem, right, relies on people promoting the ecosystem and more people getting into the ecosystem to pay people that have been in the ecosystem for a while.
And regardless of that,
everything.
Hex has a contract that can be read. The Hex business people don't actually have working products that I can read. I can read the Hex contract. So does it really even need a white paper? No, not really, because it's on me to review the code myself. With Hex business, there is no code. You just have to rely on people's word of mouth.
There actually is
in their word of mouth.
It's just, you don't
there is a code.
There's one where you just told me that there was going to be 10 apps that are reliant to pay interest.
Yeah, because
where's the code for those?
Development costs money. It's an
Etherscan.
iterative process.
Okay, so you're telling me that. Okay, so Ryan, you just told me that there was code. There's not code for 10 projects. There is? There's code for all 10 projects?
For their ecosystem, there's going to be 4 tokens: the HXY, HXB, HXP, and then there's one more that wasn't released yet.
Some kind of a stable coin, right?
Yeah, some kind of but those are the 4 tokens of their ecosystem. 3 of them have been released already, and each one of those you can go on Etherscan and you can go through their code on Etherscan.
So you're saying that all of those 10 apps that Omar just talked about, they've already been written?
I don't really know too much details about those apps. No.
Okay.
Three have been audited. 3 have been audited.
But there's one Hex Lotto, which that one has been out for I believe 6 months, and I think that one is ready to go, and I think it's already been audited as well. So that's like kind of one of their premier dapps that they kind of want to release. And then I heard you guys talking earlier, like with the Hex bet thing and all those kind of stuff, whatever's going to happen in that. Everything's just kind of building for now. It's like the whole ecosystem is building, but it seems to me like you guys are everyone's really attacking Hexy right now, and a lot of people haven't really even like looked into it themselves. Like, I don't know, GoodTexture, have you really looked into?
Buddy, I've been trying to look into it for the last 4 hours, and Mike starts trying to argue with me to tell me that there's a white paper when no white paper exists. How do I look into something that is not properly being presented? Omar here is the first person in the entire ecosystem in all the hours that I've inquired about it that has made any sense whatsoever. He's the first person. They should hire him.
Well, it just seems like you're being very hostile and trying to
I am being hostile because people are scammers in this space, and these people are putting on the facade, the classic scammer facade. They are giving out an ICO that's probably an illegal security. There's reason to be hostile toward it, especially when I have to ask 8 or 9 times to get the most basic answer to the most basic questions. It doesn't look good, guys. Like I said, Omar's done the best job of anybody by far.
Who did we lose? Oh, we lost Coffee.
Yeah, well, it just seems to me like you're attacking it and
I am attacking it.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like you've really looked into it yourself.
I can't. There's no white paper.
Just believe, brother. Just believe.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, man. It's cool. It's cool.
One is a business. There's nothing wrong with people operating a business. And out of right now, the hard code, from what I understand, the hard code is that 90% of what comes in and transforms redistributes. It's just a circle. So 90% of what goes in comes back out, and it feeds the energy and the excitement and the reason to bring more into that system. 10%, the remaining 10%, has to pay for legal, has to pay for income for whoever operates and founds these things, has to pay for R&D, has to pay for 7 or 8 more white papers and other projects that are going to be developed out of this fund. So they're going to operate a business on a very thin margin out of what you've seen in divs recently. So even recently, you're going to look at the transform and say, well, there's only one thing right now feeding everyone, which is transformations. And people are influencers, and they believe in the project. I believe in the project. I made spreadsheets about it as well. And the funds that came out as far as dividends, I just put 15 years out in Hex. So I haven't been compounding. And I took my position more seriously recently about HXY. And it is because I can see this flow. And I realized that I'm getting away from my own principles of what I was attracted to Hex in the first place, because I consider it sound. I consider it a finished product. So it's really a position not about BTC maximalism, because BTC isn't finished. It is a finished product. So it's more about a finished thing, in my opinion, compared to anything else that the business is built on. I don't see where the cycle of money comes from other than recycling to keep the mob happy. If the mob is happy because people are giving away free chickens, nobody's going to complain.
Then price go up.
If you go hungry and you start to starve, then you start to complain. And you saw that in this past 2 weeks with Hexy. I mean,
yeah.
Hey, Omar, my friend Firebun wants to know, how does the Hex business project help Hex overall?
So I believe one of the biggest benefits to Hex specifically will be the mobile app, because it onboards directly into the adoption amplifier lobby. So if you have a killer app and a cool, easy onboarding platform, perhaps USD to directly into the adoption amplifier, or even Ethereum into the adoption amplifier, this I believe this app has a higher probability to go viral than anything, especially if you translate it into Chinese or something like that. And that will increase the Ethereum coming into the adoption amplifier, and then people will know about Hex. And then there's other things that you could do with Hex now instead of just staking it. Go try to increase your position in this DApp ecosystem that will pay you out in Hex. It's all kind of like a cycle that kind of connected. And then you could even try these pools. Now take the Hex you just onboarded in from the adoption amplifier and put it in a pool where you can get bigger pays better type of interest now. Did it connect it?
You did. You gave a really good explanation, Omar. I appreciate it. You do a good job, man.
Hmm. So I think it's just a whole different set of game theory that we're just not used to. We had to go through a learning curve to understand hex game theory, and we were enthralled and absorbed by it until we understood it. Now we just talk about price and shares. And now there's a whole nother set of game theory that's being built on top of hex that we need to become familiar with and kind of catch the vision if we think it's a good thing or not.
So you say that go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You say that the mobile app and the dapps and everything, that there's currently effort being put into all of those.
Yeah, I think they're spread pretty thin, but I heard they do have a big team, and they don't always. And it's like I said, it's an iterative process. It's like you're building a train track, and they're just putting one train track in front of you at a time, because you can't just have a whole ecosystem built out and then just blah, right? You need to kind of. It has to be an iterative process. I don't see any other way where you can fund this type of endeavor.
Well, it takes money, and that's what Richard did when he started. He funded it out of his own pocket. So it's either funded out of your own pocket, or you have to try to raise money through ICOs. I mean, that's what they're doing. So
And there's a time constraint. I heard what you said.
Yeah.
And there's a time constraint because of big payday. So there's, they're getting bigger divs now than they're going to probably see after big payday. So
Yeah. So the idea is, do you want a piece of a share in a company where you're paid out the revenues in that in those shares, and you could just claim it every day, or even have it done in an automatic way in the future? That's having your own money printer machine. We talk about having that with Hex the whole time, except Hex is not really liquid, right? It's more of a CD. It actually gets locked in. You can't pay the bills unless you unstake, right? But you can't pay the bills with that interest or that profit on top of your stakes, right? Hexy is kind of like, in my opinion, it's kind of more like the mining machine, because you mine it, or you have a stake or revenue, and you get something liquid where you can pay the bills with. So that's more like a mining machine to me. A CD is more like it's a time deposit, right? It's not liquid. You get the most benefit out of it by putting it away and delaying your gratification. So I think the use case of Hexy is liquid dividends from
as long as somebody's using the app enough to pay dividends.
And 10 other dapps. Look at
Yeah.
BetFury
Okay.
that's built on Tron, or it uses Bitcoin. People are clicking that thing like crazy. People want that game, and
Yeah.
and people are going to do this. Why not have it benefit people in Hex?
No, that makes sense.
And like Richard's telling people, or not Richard. There's some unknown entity funding people to go trade with Hex. Hex is meant to be staked. Why? How does that work? It's because somebody out there knows that more eyeballs in this attention economy is a net positive for Hex. It's positive for your bag.
Yeah. It seems like it could be a net positive if they deliver on all their promises, and that's a big if.
Yeah, but coding, right? You get 80%, but the last 20% takes the most time.
Yeah.
Right? And that's an iterative process. Oh, now we need another 2 days because we introduced a bug into the code.
Yeah.
Well, Omar, you did probably more for your community and your project than anybody has been able to. Well, Michael's, he's
a nice guy,
marketing guy, and he's not necessarily he's been in, like he said, he's not a crypto guy. He hasn't been in it for a long time, and he's a marketing dude. So I learned his take from the first time we talked. He's, like you said, he's a nice guy. And he pays the bills, and he's part of the business part of it, and he does that kind of stuff. And he's not a dev. He knows, a little about the project. But like Omar just explained a little more. I mean, I learned more from Omar right now than I've learned from anybody.
Yeah, that was great. Omar.
And I don't spend a lot of time, understanding it, or I've poked in. I get a lot of people sending me messages, and this is what it's all about. And I'll poke into their chat room every once in a while, say hey to everybody. Like I do in all the chat rooms. But, I hadn't heard it explained as well as Omar did. So I did hear Omar on Ryan's show one time, and he was doing the same type of thing, explaining it well. But I didn't hear the depth that I heard right now. Now, I don't know how the effing hangout got freaking sidetracked with 5 hours of Hexy. We've been on Hex business
Crazy.
for 5 freaking
Oh my
hours.
God, man.
And I'm hoping that somehow, some way, we've explained this thing to a lot of people if they had a lot of questions. We've had it from all angles, from fuck you to it's great. So I think that's how this should work. That's how discourse should work. Is everybody should be throwing in their cents, and it's fucking cool, man, watching all you guys get triggered on this shit, man. Oh, dude, you guys are tickling my ass with a feather, man. I'm telling you. Wait, what's Jim saying?
We can't hear you.
I think he's trying to.
We can't hear you, bro.
Mic's on mute, bro.
Am I off?
Oh,
Now
there
you're good. Nope.
There we go.
You're on.
We saw you doing this, but we didn't hear nothing out of here.
Well, basically, it's just it's the sensitivity and it's the camaraderie, it's the brotherhood in lots of ways, because many of us have lost a limb from walking through a minefield, and no one told us
straight
on this path. Stay on this path, and you'll be okay. Watch out for that area. So a lot of the pitfalls, punji sticks, whatever you want to say, as far as the threats of crypto, also are the threats of any business, of any endeavor, of any speculation. So don't think that. Again, I just want to frame it that we're salty. Many of us are salty because we've lost real money and life-changing money. At least I have. I've lost life-changing money, right? I've made life-changing money several times. I've been broke and I've been well off several times in my life. So I've learned it a little bit, and a lot of us have. So when we say be cautious, be reasonable, that's exactly what the intention is. Be reasonable about the threats. And what we do admire about what Richard did was he thought about these threats for maybe a decade or longer. He's been in all kinds of business entrepreneurial enterprises. He's been ripped off 10 Ways to Sunday. If you look at any of his history. So he knows a lot of the things that most of us in this room don't, because he has the real world experience. And then inside of that, he's been in crypto since 2012, I think. Maybe that's when he started, somewhere in there, maybe 11. But he's seen all of the things that have been attempts or builds, or what got built on top of Bitcoin and then later had to get off of Bitcoin because they were too hostile to being developed on, right? So he's seen all those trends and those starts and falls. And what I love about Hex is exactly what GoodTexture covered a lot today. Is, to me, it's a finished product. To me, it's an asphalt highway in the middle of a minefield. Yeah, there might be risks. I think RG3 is trying to be cautious as well by saying, a meteor could destroy all of this, and it didn't matter how good the highway was, right? But I just see this as a safer path through the speculative nature of this most increasing value asset known to man kind of thing, right? This asset class, if you want to call crypto an asset class. So I like it as it being not impervious, but pretty damn close, legally, code-wise, intention, game theory, finished. If Richard goes away altogether, if the websites go away altogether, it doesn't make a difference, because anybody else can build another hex.win website. Another person can do it right now. You can have another hexdex.win or whatever. All of these things are smart contract that can be called. So I see that differently. And the hesitation about embracing anything, although the closest embrace has been to the Hex HXY project, is the fact that it's a project. So it's sound value concepts and that point of view versus to be built and promised kinds of things. So it's just caution, and that's what I'm telling everybody that comes across the project.
Yeah, I think you just need to evaluate your risk to reward ratio in any endeavor that you take on.
And that's why, this is a huge risk reward, asset class that we're sitting in. Huge. It's huge. And you have to realize that, before you get too emotionally attached to anything. You can't be emotionally attached to this stuff at all, guys. That's what I find funny about all the maxis, that they get emotionally attached to their shit, and they start, throwing stuff here and there and laughing and giggling and, busting people's balls, all this crazy shit. It's like, don't take yourselves too seriously, guys, because like Jim was saying, it's like Meteor could hit this shit real easy.
With Hex, you're kind of almost forced into an emotional attachment because you're gonna be married to it for 15 years. So you better get a little emotionally attached.
15. Let me tell you, I'll tell you what 19's like.
Most of my relationships. So yeah,
I've been married for 19 years.
Yeah, that's a marriage.
Yeah, I'm straight. That's what yeah.
Married to Hex.
It's 3:30 here. I'm gonna head out.
Omar, thanks for coming on, bro. It was good having you on here, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate the explanation.
No problem.
Yep. It's good.
All right, guys.
Crazy times.
Do we have anything else to talk about other than Hexy? Because I'm done with Hexy, man. We freaking beat the shit out of that one, man. I can't believe we spent that much time on it.
Am I out of timeout now? Is this what this is?
No, you know what I need to do? I need to get Zoom probably, or something that I can put more motherfuckers in here, because
Zoom Business or whatever.
Yeah, I got to put more of you guys in here, because 6 is kind of hard to keep everybody cycled without somebody thinking, RG3 don't like me or whatever. No, you're trying to cycle you guys through, man. But it's like only 6. I had it set up where I could put 7, but I failed.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, it's 3:30 here too. I just want to kind of get on for a bit. Everyone was talking about Hexy and everything. I just want to kind of get on.
Come in here, freaking protect your bags, baby.
That's right. Pump them.
Hell yeah. Do what you gotta do.
Yep. So,
Love you, bro.
Yep. Have a good one.